At the outset, let me thank the organizers, especially Jacob sir, Bipin, Ganesh, Bulbul and team for the opportunity given. Over the next 15 minutes, I'll share with you something on high intensity interval training. Well, that's my disclosure. I do moderate intensity exercise, 3 days of running a week. Then I do bit of strength training, just 2 days a week, 30 minutes or 45 minutes, not more than that. And regarding HIIT, I have just started doing HIIT in the recent past. Well, why are we all here? Well, fitness is not all about having huge biceps, huge triceps and all. A good fitness program is designed with 5 specific goals. You need to have cardiovascular fitness, you need to have strength, agility, balance as well as flexibility. To achieve these goals, we must incorporate a variety of exercise in our routine sessions, each belonging to a specific category. Jody sir has mentioned regarding endurance training as well as high intensity interval training. Well, exercising regularly, every day if possible, is the single most important thing you can do for your health. In short term, exercise helps to control appetite, boost mood and improve sleep. In the long term, it helps to control your heart disease, stroke, diabetes, dementia, depression and even cancers. Well, we heard from the previous talk, Joni sir has mentioned that cardiovascular fitness is the most important thing with respect to survival. When your VO2 max increases by 1 ml per kg per minute, survival also could increase by 9%. This was an elegant study, 35 years of follow-up. Well, what are the different types of exercise that we commonly come across? Most importantly, the commonest one is the endurance training. We call it as aerobics, moderate intensity training. The second one is strength training. Thirdly, flexibility exercise and balancing exercise. With respect to moderate intensity training, we try to achieve a heart rate of around 50 to 70. That's zone 2 training. Instead of working with the maximum effort, you do some sort of effort so that your heart rate is around 70. You do it for a longer period of time. So you have a steady energy level. You call it as aerobic exercise. Activities like walking, jogging, swimming, dancing, cycling, it's all good. It helps to burn fat, improve your mood and improve your inflammatory process inside the body. Second one is strength training. Well, you could have an increase in muscle mass, you could have an increase in strength, you could have an increase in bone density. What happens as we age is the muscle mass, it comes down, you tend to develop sarcopenia, the bone tends to become brittle. With the help of strength training, you can get out of both these side effects of aging. Well, the third most important thing, the flexibility training. Stretching exercise helps to strengthen and improve the flexibility of muscles as well as joints. Benefits, you have reduction of injuries as you go older and older. It improves the balance and posture and prevents falls as well as injuries. Well, again, balancing exercise is also important. It helps in controlling and stabilizing the body position. It prevents falls and it also reduces the risk of injuries, especially in knee and ankles. Yoga is a great example for that. Well, when we are in our 30s and 40s, this is what most of us would want to be like. Well, in order to be like that, you need to concentrate on two sort of exercise. Primarily, you need to think in terms of endurance training as well as strength training. Well, as you grow older and older, when you are in your 60s, 70s, you need to be more happy. You need to travel with your spouse. You would always want to avoid falls, and you would also want to be very independent, not to get help from others. So you need to focus on these two important things like the endurance training. Strength training is also extremely important because you need to improve your core muscles, you need to improve the bone density. And again, flexibility and balancing also carries a huge role as you grow older and older, you want to avoid falls. Now, so these are the 4 most important sorts of exercise that we know about. Where does HIIT fit in? That is high intensity interval training. Where does it fit in? Well, you could incorporate it into moderate intensity training, that's endurance training, can be converted to HIIT. Even strength training can be converted to FIT, primarily because HIIT is more aggressive and more intense. Well, what exactly is HIIT? It's primarily very high intensity interval training. That is, you have repeated bouts of high energy activity followed by brief periods of low intense activities or even rest. The purpose of HIIT is primarily to stress your body again so that you tend to adapt to that. Now, I run 30 minutes a day. My heart rate, it reaches 90. Is that HIIT? No, absolutely not. This is a high intensity exercise. When I run, it's a high intensity exercise. But when we talk about HIIT, the high intensity interval training, it's not the regular intensity that you speak about. It's going to be something like super intense exercise. That is, you cannot sustain for more than 20 seconds, 30 seconds, or even 45 seconds. So that's high intensity training. That's, you cannot last for longer. That is, you go out to your maximum so that you would be totally exhausted when it's 20 seconds or 30 seconds. So primarily it's a super high intensity training, and it's a short duration. And the third most important thing, it's an interval training. You do some intense exercise, 30 seconds or 45 seconds or even 1 minute, and once you're done with that, you're totally exhausted, then you switch over to a rest period, or you switch over to a low intensity period before you move on to the next set of exercise. So what exactly is HIIT? Primarily it's a super intense exercise. It should be short duration, and it should be done in intervals around 20 minutes or so. That's what's going to fetch you good benefits. Well, there are many protocols of doing that. Joni sir has mentioned regarding the Norwegian protocol. You could do high intensity work for 4 minutes, take rest for 4 minutes, or do low intensity for 4 minutes, then again 4 minutes of high intensity, then low intensity 4 minutes. So that's how you could do. You could repeat it for 3 or 4 times, around 20 minutes or so. That would be fair enough. But if you're running, you cannot run continuously at high intensity for around 4 minutes or so. You can run for around 30 seconds or 1 minute, take rest, or jogging for the next 2 to 3 minutes, then again continue with that. So you have different types of protocols in managing this particular high intensity HIIT exercises. Well, when we do this sort of HIIT exercise, HIIT training, your heart rate needs to reach around 85 to 95% of the target heart rate. Because we just mentioned that when you do an endurance training, when you do an aerobic training, the heart rate would be reaching around 50, 60 or 70% of your target heart rate. What exactly is your target heart rate? You need to calculate from 220 minus your age. I am 51, 220 minus 51, it should be 169. So my target heart rate would be 169, and I should be working at 90% of this target heart rate. Then only I am doing a high intensity interval exercise, and during the recovery phase, it should slowly come down to around 70% or so. So that's, and again, how do we know about the heart rate? Now we know that we are all fitness enthusiasts sitting over here. Any smartwatch could give us the idea regarding what exactly is your heart rate. Now when we look at the animal kingdom, we know the cheetah, the fastest land animal. It's got an impressive endurance, and whether we are worried whether it's really it's HIIT trained or not, because it runs for 30 seconds, 1 minute behind a prey, and it just stops, it takes rest, and then again continues to run. Now how do we how do we do HIIT? Option 1, you do the warm-up. When you do a warm-up, you're getting your joints ready, you're engaging your brain, and you're pumping, your heart rate starts going up. It comes to around 120 or so. It's always mandatory that before you do a HIIT, you need to have a warm-up of 3 minutes or 4 minutes. Then when you come to sprinting, 30 seconds of sprint, followed by 1 minute or 2 minutes of slow running, or even you could take rest. Repeat this around 3 to 6 times, and finally at 20 minutes or 30 minutes, you are slowly cooling down, and that's it. Now regarding sprinting, you start with a high sprint, whatever your breath could take you through. You need to run fast as possible, 30 seconds or 40 seconds, take a rest, and then repeat it. So that's HIIT. This is one of my HIIT days. You could see that pace, it keeps going up and down. That was first 1 minute of running, followed by 3 minutes of rest, then 1 minute of running, followed by 3 minutes of rest. You could see that my heart rate should be probably around 169, it's crossed 170, then it's come down, and then slowly as I progress, again the heart rate keeps increasing. So when you do a HIIT, you need to want to have a very high heart rate, and you need to have a lot of lactates also building up in your muscle. Now how do we do HIIT? The second option, you can go in for a static cycle against resistance. You need to do static cycling against resistance for 30 seconds or even 1 minute, followed by low intensity for 2 minutes or 3 minutes. Again, can we have strength training incorporated into HIIT? Definitely, Arun and team can do these sort of things also. You need to challenge your body, because we know that when you do strength training, you go up 30 kgs, 40 kgs, 50 kgs, but then you need to have the maximum weights to be done, and you need to miss the last few repetitions. So that's how you're challenging your entire body. So you could incorporate HIIT protocol into your strength training exercise also. So we have many options like running, cycling. You could have you could go to gym, you could do jump squats, and many options are available. Remember one thing, you can adapt this to your liking. You can move for 30 seconds, take rest for 20 seconds, move for 60 seconds, take rest for even 2 minutes or 3 minutes, and change the order of the moves. It's up to you, because you need to do something which your body would allow you to do. When you look at the history, it goes back to almost 100 years. In 1924, a Finnish athlete, he used to incorporate HIIT training into his regular Olympic endurance training, and he used to win a lot of medals. And this was again popularized almost 3 decades ago by Japanese Tabata. And his Tabata protocol, 4 minutes of Tabata protocol, is very, very popular. What is the basic difference between cardio and HIIT workout? So when you look at cardio workout, it's basically aerobic. You need a lot of oxygen for the energy to be produced. When you look at HIIT, it's more of anaerobic workout. Your heart rate is going to be extremely high compared to aerobic workout, when your heart rate is going to be 50 to 70% of target heart rate. The difference includes the duration. I mean, when it comes to cardio, you need to have a longer duration, 30 minutes to 1 hour. When it comes to HIIT, it should be around 20 minutes or so. Intensity is going to be super high intense. Energy systems is going to be anaerobic. So you have a lot of benefits with HIIT compared to doing a regular cardio or a strength training exercise. Now, I'll skip the slide. Now, what are the benefits of HIIT? It renders health benefit as twice as that a moderate intensity exercise can help us. It burns 25 to 30% more of calories compared to other types of exercise. Even the VO2 max can improve by up to 10 to 15%, and then it helps in increasing muscle mass, and a lot of other benefits are also there. Again, regarding the science of HIIT, primarily aerobic workout, it needs a lot of oxygen for this particular system to go on. With HIIT, it's going to be anaerobic, so you have less of ATP during anaerobic glycolysis. You have a shorter duration of activity, and it tends to be a faster duration of activity. So regarding the science of HIIT, HIIT is an aerobic process that requires you to work at 80 to 95% of your maximum heart rate. During anaerobic glycolysis, lactic acid is produced as a byproduct in your muscles. Lactic acid it hurts and it burns. When it hurts and it burns, you cannot proceed to more than 30 seconds or 1 minute. So you need to have huge amount of lactate build up in your body. That happens only with anaerobic exercise. That happens only when you are stressing you to your maximum limits, and only when you have huge amount of lactates formed inside your body. Brain considers this as a challenge. It increases the growth hormone, it increases the BDNF, as explained with Jacob sir in the morning. So because of these, you have increased growth of muscles to overcome the next challenge. So that's actually the science of HIIT protocols. Well, it's basically all about challenging our body. When you rapidly change your recovery pattern to high intensity pattern, the body is continuously challenged, the brain is continuously challenged, you have an increased growth hormone, you have an increased role of BDNF, the muscle brain promoting hormones are there, so that the next abuse to the body with these sort of challenges can be taken care of. So when you have more and more of stress, you have more and more of adaptations also. So again, that's typically how it would look like. Warm up for 5 minutes. When you warm up, your heart rate reaches 120. Hit hard for around 60 seconds. You feel hurt and you have to stop. When you're hurt, you stop, and then you can take a rest, or you can do a low intensity exercise for the next 1 minute, 2 minutes, or 3 minutes. Again, continue to do that. So you need to keep in mind that there are two important things at the end of the day. The heart rate should not be very low, it should be quite high, and secondly, in order to keep your lactate levels high, you need to work hard. Now, what exactly is this post-exercise oxygen consumption? It's otherwise known as the afterburn effect. Post-exercise, the body continues to consume oxygen so that you could restore the metabolic functions. When you do a HIIT, the chances of having a restoration, the amount of metabolic work that happens during the post-exercise period, it's going to be quite high, and you tend to burn another 15% more of calories than what you do during your exercise. So basically what you understand is, even when you take rest, you do an endurance exercise, you run for 30 minutes, you take rest, your metabolic activity is high even during the post-exercise period. The same thing happens with HIIT. However, if you look at this chart, if you look at this diagram, you could see that the afterburn effect, it's extremely high for these subset of patients, people, compared to whatever you do with the regular endurance training. So the post-exercise metabolic demand is more, so then you tend to burn more and more of calories. And again, we come to know the HIIT benefits. The VO2 max could be significantly more. The mitochondrial genesis, mitochondrial biogenesis happens, mitochondrial adaptation happens. A lot of things do happen inside the body. And according to this particular paper, it even halts aging at the cellular level compared to moderate intensity exercise. And this particular factor, as mentioned by Jacob sir, hippocampus, it tends to improve the neurons inside the body. So the levels of BDNF also it tends to go up. And again, Joni sir has mentioned about this type 1 and type 2 fibers. When you do an endurance exercise, it's type 1 fibers. The slow fibers, that's more of recruited. When you do a high intensity exercise, it's going to be type 2 fibers, that is speed fibers, that's faster fibers are being recruited. And so finally, when you do HIIT exercise, it enables the bodies to burn calories without burning yourself. When you do an endurance training, you run for 1 hour, at the end of 1 month, you tend to develop sarcopenia. But then it never happens. Sarcopenia never happens with high intensity interval training. Calories continues to burn even after 24 hours after HIIT. That's the epoch. Well, the most important selling point of HIIT would be its efficacy, and it's very time effective, because you want to do a regular endurance training exercise, you have to run 5 days a week, 30 minutes or 40 minutes. But then when it comes to HIIT, you just need to do it twice or thrice a week, and it takes only 20 minutes or so. So these are the benefits of HIIT. You have huge hormonal benefits, you have increased fitness and stamina, cardiorespiratory benefits are there, increased calorie burn and time efficiency. All these things could be achieved with the help of an endurance training also. But then when you compare with endurance training, with HIIT training, this is much more, and it could be achieved with a shorter duration of time. And how do we monitor? We do have monitors available. All our smartwatches can monitor these things. During the high intensity interval, your heart rate should be around 80 to 95. During low intensity, it should be around 50 or so. You could also use this VO2 max, as explained by Johnny sir. You could use the VO2 max in your mobile phone, because I saw that only very few people look into everyone who's got an iPhone and an iWatch, you can monitor your VO2 max. It's always available in the health app, so that can be evaluated. Now, how many intervals a day would you do? You start doing with 3 or 4 repetitions, not more than 8 per day. And what duration do we do HIIT? Around 20 to 30 minutes, not more than that. And 2 or 3 times a week is more than enough. If you do more, what's going to happen? You do not have any additional benefits. You need time for repair of these muscle fibers. So do not break down your body. Do not push too hard. It's always try to be safe than become sorry. So we do have a lot of evidence. Again, VO2 max, I'll skip those things. So at the end of 2 to 6 weeks of HIIT, you have an increased power output, you have an increased VO2 max, improved aerobic and anaerobic capacity, improved ability to deal with your lactic acid, that's what is called as lactate threshold. You have an improved fat metabolism, improved endurance performance, and an improved epoch. So primarily it's going to be efficient, it's going to be effective, and it's proven in sedentary athletes and even in diseased population. So who shouldn't be doing HIIT? Everyone should be able to do that within your fitness levels. We are 70 years old sitting here, 50 years old sitting here, 30-year-old sitting here. So you have different energy levels. You try to do what is best for you. You try to devise how long are you going to do the HIIT. HIIT needn't be running. You can just climb 2 stairs up, 2 stairs down. Your heart rate goes up to 80%. So you can try doing within your fitness limits. Always start slowly and progress gradually. That's some motivation movie. Can seniors do it? Definitely. Even at the age of 70 years, even at the age of 90 years, you can continue to do that. But always be safe rather than becoming sorry. Can again seniors do it? If you can't run fast, probably you should run slow. If you can't run slow, you need to walk fast. If you can't walk fast, at least try walking slowly. So something would certainly be better than doing nothing. And even in seniors, you have a definite protocols, exercise protocol in doing that. It doesn't matter what exactly you do, always enjoy whatever you are doing. In closing, HIIT is efficient, it's time effective with all benefits of endurance training. So finally, dear friends and seniors, always keep in mind that doing exercise without a purpose do not render great benefits. So evaluate your requirements, find out what kind of exercise would be best for you. Thank you so much for your patience.